Moroccan Islamic clerics and conservatives unite against women's rights. Color me surprised. Shaking up the status quo in Morocco, women's rights activists launched the It's Time to Change the Law campaign on May 2nd, 2023, which is aimed at reforming the nation's family code and law in line with international women's rights obligations. So basically, they want to take the family code and update it to be reflective of their international treaties that they've signed. Despite gathering steam with prominent TV stars and influencers joining the cause, the campaign is facing severe opposition from an alliance of Islamic clerics and conservative YouTubers. Islamic cleric Muhammad Abu Hatem is leading the charge, stating that the campaign's proposals, including the repeal of male guardianship laws, could lead to, quote, disastrous and dangerous implications. Another religious figure, Sheikh Abdellah Nhari, accuses campaigners of targeting the, quote, last stronghold of the Ummah, referring to Islamic family laws. Simultaneously, Hicham Bouanani, a popular conservative YouTuber, uploaded a video lambasting the campaign organizers, accusing them of waging an intense war against Islam and the fundamentals of the Ummah. Despite progress since its independence, fierce backlash to this campaign underscores the persistence of conservative Islamic values towards women's roles in Morocco. So, this is really interesting. So the whole idea behind this campaign is to take a lot of the work of civil society organizations in Morocco and help bring more of that awareness to the general population. And this is a campaign that's actually supported by the United Nations. And it's meant to, update the family law, because the idea behind it is that women in Morocco have made great strides in terms of education, but the aspects of the family law are basically holding them back in terms of reaching their economic potential. And so it's a campaign to change the family laws so that women can be liberated in many different aspects of life. And ultimately, this would benefit the economy of the entire nation. And so I want to read some of the stuff that these Islamic clerics and conservatives say is wild and so off color. So So let's go first into what Abu Hatem had to say. He questioned the implications of this law, and he rhetorically asked whether the campaign's objective was to advocate for the acceptance of fornication and condone moral corruption. Because again, it's illegal to have premarital sex in Morocco right now. Consensual premarital sex is a crime. So that's one of the things that is attempting to be changed in this law. He emphasized the urgency of returning to the teachings of Islam and implementing divine laws while rejecting what he described as the garbage of man-made ideologies. And when it came to the male guardianship thing, he condemned it and saying that men and fathers would no longer have authority over their daughters and sisters, and saying that would have disastrous implications.
Wow.
And this other cleric, Sheikh Abdellah Nhari, his main problem came to the aspects related to the consensual sex. And the way that he puts it, or at least in the translation that's been provided to me, is very off color, and it comes across the totally wrong way that I kind of find amusing. He said that he criticized removing the criminalization of consensual premarital sex and said that it's being referred to as the promotion of so-called consensual sexual relations. I'm like, well, what's the opposite? Do we not want to promote consensual sexual relations?
What do you mean so-called? Does he think they're promoting non-consensual relationships? I mean, that would be Islam, to be fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. The promotion of, non-consensual sexual relationship. That's Islam.
Yeah.
I see the problem. I see why they have a problem with the promotion of consensual sex. It's not how Allah intended. Allah intends non-consensual sexual relationships. I understand now. Okay, I see what the problem is.
Yes. Because the only thing that matters, of
I'm
course,
kidding,
is the
by the way,
consent
guys.
of
Like,
the
this is
parents. Yeah.
this is not a joke. This is like both married, like in Iran, in Islam and Iran, we have sex slavery, and marriage is also sex slavery, because you don't need, a woman. It's haram for a woman, for a wife, not to consent to their husband. We have hadith in Islam that says that if a husband wants sex and the wife says no to it, there would be angels cursing her nonstop from night till morning. So that's for the wife. So it's haram. But for the sex slaves, she doesn't even get to say no, and that's a major part of Islamic doctrine, sex slavery.
And well, in what's also important to emphasize is that there is no concept of consent within Islamic
Yes,
doctrine.
Islam.
The only consent that is required is the consent of the parents that are marrying off their daughter. And like
Yes.
Salafi, like Dawa guys, like Farid Responds will say this publicly. They're saying he
Yeah.
literally had a tweet that said, "What's wrong with child marriage if the parents consent?" Like, I'm paraphrasing, but that's what he meant. It was crazy.
No, that's what he said. That's not even paraphrase. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Damn, that still boggles my mind.
Oh
There
my
was
God, my sweet, sweet summer child. The contemporary Cooper is saying there's sex slavery in Islam. Yes, it's in the Quran. Oh my God,
honey.
Oh, honey.
Is there?
Yes, it's endorsed in the Quran.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there was another guy who, was like saying this is like a hybrid definition of the family embraced by the West. And he started talking about, these families of 2 men and 2 women, or families without a marriage certificate, and stating like that's intolerable and blah, blah, blah. And we need to remain rooted in Islam. So basically he's talking about like gay couples that have a kid. There was another guy who, wait, I need to find the exact quote. Wait, whoops, wrong tab. Because what he said about child marriage was crazy. Okay. Oh shoot, where did it go? Oh, no. Let me find this quote. Blew my mind. Underage. Is this it? Okay. Abu Hatem also contended that the underlying motive, listen to this. He contended that the underlying motive behind the campaign's opposition to underage marriages was to undermine the fundamental institution of marriage itself.
Oh, I see. So he's saying that if we can't marry kids, you're against marriage.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you are anti-marriage to minors, that means you hate marriage. How could you hate the family? Who are these people?
It's when you see this written down, you're like, oh my God.
These are guys. These are people who are saying this out in the open publicly, and they're like proud of it.
Yeah. And let me read.
They're making good claims, and these are common views, my guys. These are like not like you might think it might seem odd to you, but these are common Islamic views. But yeah, go on.
Yeah. Abu Hatem reasoned that if the campaign's concerns were genuinely centered on protecting minors, they would have also raised objections to underage fornication, highlighting what he perceived to be a selective focus on marriage alone. So this isn't entirely clear to me what he means by underage fornication. Right? Like, does he mean repealing the, consensual premarital sex thing? Like, or he's saying that, yeah, go ahead.
No, he's saying, okay, that your problem is not the underage part. Your problem is the marriage part, because you're focusing on underage marriage, but you're not focusing on underage relationships outside of marriage, here's the problem with that line of reasoning. That's already illegal. All right. Why would you, because one of these 2 acts is already punishable under the law, and one of them is recognized as okay by the state, is endorsed by the state. So why, of course, where would your priority be? Like the state is allowing you to have sex with minors. So you're like, we need to shut that down. Holy crap. And like, oh, why are you not talking about that? That's already illegal. Why? Oh my God. These people are idiots.
Yeah.
It's kind of like saying like, oh, we need to fight against capital punishment, right? And it's like, oh, if you're against, like, let's say we're fighting against capital punishment in the U.S., right? Like, oh, if you value people's lives so much, why are you not talking about murder? Murder kills lives as well. Like, well, because that's already illegal. This is like, I don't know. Oh my God, I don't know. I don't know.
It's so confusing to me. And I think of like underage fornication. I can interpret that two ways. Are you talking about people who are like legal adults with a significant age gap, like having like a relationship with a minor? Like that's problematic. That's not a kind of quote unquote fornication that I'm okay with. Of course not. But are you talking about
people are against? I'm sure these people are against that as well. I have a feeling that these people are
yeah, they're
against
just
that as well.
campaigners. Yeah.
I don't think these campaigners are like, oh yeah, like 50-year-old man shouldn't be able to have sex with a 9-year-old inside a marriage. But hey, outside of a marriage, we're liberals.
Yeah.
We can like outside of a marriage, that should be fine. Like, I don't think that's the direction these people are doing. Okay, but
Yeah, but if you're talking about underage quote unquote fornication in the sense that there are people who are legal minors that will have sex with each other, like teenagers have been having sex with each other since time immemorial. As long as it's consensual, like I don't have a problem with that, like necessarily.
Yeah.
Like be safe, like be consensual, be smart. But yeah, like 16, 17-year-olds, they're gonna have sex with each other. Have you heard of Romeo and Juliet? Like they're teenagers, come on.
I mean, that's why you have Juliet laws. Is that what they're called? Juliet laws. So
In the United
can't
States, they're literally called Romeo and Juliet laws.
Romeo laws. So you can't have sex with a minor unless you're a minor or close to it. So that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Or if there's a very
Mm.
small age gap. Like, because here's the thing,
Yeah.
if you're in high school and like you're, I don't know, you're 17, your girlfriend is 16, and then you become 18 and you're still in a relationship, that shouldn't be considered a crime, you know,
No, of
because like
course not.
they were in a yeah, they're peers, they're in the same age group, like they were in a relationship before, like that's I don't know.
Mm.
But that really got to me. It's like, well, if you care about underage marriage so much, why don't you care about underage fornication? I'm like, sir, do you don't see the difference? Like,
Yeah, one of them is being endorsed by the state. God damn it, by the religion and the state. Okay. I thought this comment was funny, so I wanted to highlight.
Brother Ben said, hello, beautiful people. Thanks for waiting. Let's begin. Yes, he's right. He says this every time. It's like, I showed up. Now the party can begin.
I love it. love it.
I imagine him like opening the front door and being like, the party's here.
Yeah. Oh, Erican is saying, thank you so much for the super chat. Erican is saying, nikah doesn't mean marry. It's Arabic for F word. Yes, but people, modern Muslims, pretend that this means marriage because, hold on, let me. So that
Wait, F word is in the gay word?
No, as in like having sex. But okay, so this is
What?
debatable. Nikah is marriage, but it's just so loosely. It's a gray line between. It's basic because Islamic. It means Islamically halal sex, right? So Islamically allowed sex. People translate that to marriage. Then, do you understand what I'm saying?
Okay.
So
But
because, for example,
technically, it just means sex.
well, I mean, if it's Islamically allowed, that the meaning of marriage means endorsed by the religion as well. You know what I mean? So, for example, we're saying like, you could say that, dude, like in Islam, Muhammad was having sex with sex slaves. That is RAPE. And they're like, no, because it's endorsed by the religion. So that makes it marriage. And like, well, so I mean, it's basically So,
Well,
but it is.
I learned
I
something
mean,
today.
yeah, yeah. So whether or not you want to call it marriage or not depends on how you look at it. But